All right, we're continuing on here in lessons 2.9 and 2.10, looking at percents and some applications of percents. We kind of take a little bit of a detour from the proportion piece and really looking at a formula. And so we're going to look at the simple interest formula. Anytime we have formulas, it's just kind of a set thing. Like here is the formula, and we've got different parts of it. So we're going to start there. When we are writing simple interest, our formula looks like this. It's I is equal to P R T. And so that's our simple interest formula, and just like area is length times width, or perimeter is your four sides added together, the sum of those sides. Like this is the formula for simple interest. And so when we're using or trying to find simple interest, this is the formula we use. This is where we start, and then from there we can solve. And so before we get into solving, let's kind of talk through what each of these means. Our I in our simple interest formula stands for interest. So I stands for interest. And interest is when you borrow money, you have to pay back not only the money that you borrowed, but you have to pay some extra money back for not having the money in the first place. And that extra money that you have to pay is what we call interest. Or it works the other way if you are saving money, like you put money into a bank account or into stocks or something like that. You get your money back most of the time. You get your money back, but you also get some extra money, like you earn some additional interest. And so it's that extra money that's received. We call it interest, extra money that's received. All right, second part of our problem is P. And P stands for principal. Principal is the original amount borrowed. So it's your starting amount. If you put $5,000 into the bank, your principal is $5,000. If you borrow $50, your principal is $50. It's the original amount that is borrowed. And then we get to R. R is our percent, right? R is our percent. We call it the rate. Right? And it is our percent. It's how much extra you make. It's the percent, the interest rate, the interest percent. And we always write it as a decimal. So when we put it into our problem, you'll see in a moment we're always going to write it as a decimal, which means we're going to take whatever the percent says, and we're going to move our decimal place 2 places to the left to turn it into a decimal. And that includes if it's already like a decimal percent. So like if it's 4.5%, it's not a decimal, it's still a percent, and so we need to move the decimal place 2 places to the left and make it 0.045. And so changing the percent to a decimal, move the decimal place 2 places to the left. And then T in our problem stands for time. How long do you have the loan for, or how long is it before you pay back the money that you borrowed? And time is always written in years. So for example, like 2 years, then T would equal 2. If it's like 6 months that you keep the money for, then that's half of a year. And so T would equal 1/2, or 0.5 in our problem. All right, so those are our different pieces to our formula. I equals PRT is our formula for simple interest. I is interest, P is principal, R is rate as a decimal, and T is time in years. So here's our example. You deposit $840 in a savings account. It earns simple interest rate of 4.5% per year. You want to keep the money in the account for 4 years. How much interest will you earn? And so we're going to start. Here's our formula. Simple interest, I equals PRT. And then from there, we're starting to replace. So we start with I. We don't know, right? That's the question. How much interest will you earn, right? Here's our question right there. How much interest? So we don't know. So we leave it as I. Equals P, our principal, original amount borrowed, In this case, you're saving money, so that original amount that you put in, the original amount that was borrowed by the bank, by the savings account, is $840. So that's our P that we put in the problem. Next is R. R is our rate. It tells us that we're going to make 4.5%. We don't just write 4.5%. We move our decimal back 2 places. So right here, and so that becomes 0.45 when we actually put it into our problem. Or sorry, 0.045. And then T is our time in years. So we've got 4 years, and so T is 4. And then for all of this, like we're solving for the variable. In this case, the variable is already by itself, so we just need to simplify this side over here. And when we simplify, we get that I, our interest, is 151.2. And since we're talking about money, well, you need to write it in terms that make sense. So let's go ahead and add that 0 on the end. So $151.20 is our interest, our extra amount that we're going to receive. Now, if we were asked, like, how much total money will you get back? You should get back your principal, so we should have gotten back our $840, and you should get the extra $151. And so, like, if we were asked total amount, we're not in this problem, but if we were, our total amount we would get back would be, $991.20. But in this case, it only asks us how much interest we earn, and that amount of interest we're going to earn is $151.20. All right, well, that concludes this video on simple interest, short video, but I equals PRT is our formula for simple